Rob, it's the first game of the home season here at Sandy Park. No fans this time, but the good news this week is potentially we've got some coming back next month.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think from what I gather, and I hope this isn't, I'm not speaking out of turn. I think we would have to run an event with 2,000 first anyway. So I mean, obviously we're all hoping that we'll be in Tier 1, but Tier 2 won't necessarily stop us running that first event. So we're allowed to have 2,000, and obviously we've got every hope that in this part of the world, if we are unfortunate enough to be in Tier 2, that within a couple of weeks we'll be able, for our next home game, the rate will hopefully keep dropping, that we'll soon move down to where we can have at least 4,000 in it, hopefully from the start. But at some stage it looks like it's just on the horizon, which is fantastic news, as much for our supporters, which is great, but also I think great news for the players to be turning up here and having a bit of atmosphere as they're warming up, as they're getting ready. And to start to feel like we're playing proper sport again.
You said to me before kick-off last week at the Stoop, it feels eerie. There's hardly any planes flying over the Stoop last week like normal. There was no buzz of a game. It wasn't until the players came out beforehand that we started to get some atmosphere. There's
some away grounds you go to, and there's noise. There's a bubble and a murmur, and there's noise. And Harlequins is one of those grounds. Normally when you're out there, there's even pretty early, there's a fair few supporters bumbling around, and there's the bars, there's some activity, and there's like non-stop jumbo jets going over top, and there's quite busy traffic, and there's an atmosphere, and it was silent. And I know it was a Friday night, and I know that may made a difference, but right up until the boys came out to warm up, really it was eerily quiet, wasn't it? And to be fair, that's what Sandy Park's felt like a couple of times. Is you come out and you've done everything in the changing room, everything feels like you're ready to go, and you walk out and you kind of go, and there's nothing. And it's an interesting challenge. I think one that I know the players are really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to having people here, almost more than anything else now. Having that atmosphere, getting back to it, because it's going to feel so positive. So I said upstairs, it's almost going to feel like you've achieved something else. You've got promotion into a different league. It's going to feel like another step forward. It's going to feel really positive to get some atmosphere, some crowd, and some support. Great for the players, which I'm obviously as well, and obviously it's going to be great news financially for the club, because every little bit will help, and obviously great news for whichever 4,000 or 2,000 or 4,000 supporters we can get into the ground.
You were pretty bullish ahead of kick-off last week, saying you boys looked in good nick. It hadn't been too long since they played. They produced an ideal performance last week, didn't they? Yeah,
and I have to say I was very impressed with the players. I was impressed how they turned up ready to train in the run into the game, and then I was really impressed with our performance on the day. We stuck at it when it was tough, and whatever anybody thinks about the final score, Quins did have their own game plan that made it tough for us to get into the game and to really drive ourselves. So we had to do a lot of things right in the middle third of the field. I thought we did that really, really well around our kicking game, our chase game, and our discipline was fantastic, and our set piece was real good. And those things gave us the toeholds in the game that eventually paid. And I think that takes a lot of credit, because what will happen a lot of the times is when it's tough and the score's tight, someone will do something because they feel they have to do something a little bit different or try and make something happen, and often that can put you in trouble. We stuck the game plan fantastic well. We worked exceptionally hard, and now because they've turned up so well and they've done it like they did that first week, now I'm worried about this week, because I wasn't sure whether last week would be that bit of wake up for us to snap us into the new season, or whether that's still to come. So we'll find out in the next few weeks.
Ironically, you come up against a Bath side that were the last ones to play here at Sandy Park against you. Yeah. The side that you beat in the semi-final, the side that are coming in off the back of a surprise loss against Newcastle. There's lots of reasons for them to be a wounded animal at the moment and cause you problems.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, they'll have a bit of burn from losing the semi-final. They'll obviously be hurt from last week, and that's not taking anything away from Newcastle. I thought they were very good, but I think, rightly or wrongly, there was probably a bit of an assumption that Newcastle would be a little bit off the pace, having not played for so long. But I think they showed that they prepared fantastically well and were ready to go, which is great news for the Premiership. So Bath will be a little hurt by that, more than a little hurt. They'll want to start putting that right this weekend, and that's why this weekend is such an interesting challenge for us, because we don't come here hurt. We come here feeling pretty good about ourselves. and that's going to be an interesting and emotional challenge for both teams.
I said to you last week about the big targets on your back. Every side now is going to come after you, aren't you? And that's probably the message you have to warn the guys.
Yeah, the target bit I'm not too worried about, if I'm honest with you, because we turned up at Harlequins last week as the fresh champions of Europe and the Premiership. We couldn't have had a bigger target on our back, and we turned up and performed really well. And Harlequins will obviously have come after us as hard as they can because of that scenario that we were the champions, and we dealt with it really well. So it's not so much that I'm worried about as the fact we're champions, but I'm just kind of always concerned about, is it the day when someone decides to have a bit of a breather? Because the reality is the last Premiership game we went with the frontline squad was Harlequins away, and we lost that day because we had a little bit of a breather. And that's the reality. We've got to make sure we don't think we can have a breather this weekend and get a result, because it just doesn't happen in the Premiership.